Money feels confusing for most people. Some chase it, some fear it, and many feel stuck no matter how hard they work. But what if money isn't a mystery at all? What if it's simply a game with rules you were never taught? In this story, you'll discover how changing the way you think can change the way money moves in your life. Stay with me, because once you see the game, you'll never play the same way again. So let's dive in. The idea came to Marcus on a quiet morning when the city still felt half asleep. The coffee shop windows were fogged from the warmth inside, and the streets outside looked like they were holding their breath before the rush began. Marcus sat alone with a chipped mug, watching people pass by. Some walked quickly, eyes focused forward, as if they were chasing something invisible. Others moved slowly, shoulders heavy, like they were already tired of a day that had not yet started. Marcus had been both of those people at different times in his life. That morning, though, he felt something new stirring in his chest, a realization that felt simple and surprising at the same time. For most of his life, money had felt like a mysterious force. It seemed to flow easily toward some people while slipping away from others no matter how hard they worked. Marcus grew up believing that money was a reward for suffering. If you worked longer hours, sacrificed your weekends, and pushed through exhaustion, money would eventually respect you enough to stay. That belief shaped his early years. He took jobs that drained him, said yes to overtime even when his body begged for rest, and told himself that one day it would all make sense. But one day, sitting in that coffee shop, Marcus realized something that changed the way he saw everything. Money was not a punishment or a reward. It was a game. And like every game, it had rules, patterns, and strategies. Some people learned those rules early. Others stumbled through without ever knowing why they kept losing. The thought made him smile. Games could be learned. Games could be practiced. Games could be won. Marcus did not wake up rich the next morning. Nothing magical happened overnight. What changed was the way he paid attention. He began to watch how people who seemed financially calm behaved. He noticed that they spoke about money differently. They did not sound afraid of it or angry at it. They treated it like a tool, something neutral and useful. When problems came up, they did not panic. They adjusted their strategy, like a chess player facing an unexpected move. At his job, Marcus worked alongside a man named Daniel. Daniel was not flashy. He wore simple clothes, drove an old car, and never talked loudly about success. But there was a quiet confidence about him that Marcus could not ignore. Daniel never seemed stressed about bills, never complained about money, and somehow always had time for his family and hobbies. One afternoon, during a slow moment at work, Marcus asked him a simple question. He asked how he managed money without seeming worried all the time. Daniel laughed softly, not in a mocking way, but like someone who recognized his younger self in the question. He told Marcus that most people try to make money by pushing harder, but very few try to understand it. He said money responds to clarity, not desperation. He explained that when you treat money like an enemy, it behaves like one. When you treat it like a game, it starts to make sense. That conversation stayed with Marcus. He began to notice how often fear drove his decisions. He would spend money impulsively to feel better after a hard day, then feel guilty afterward. He would avoid looking at his bank account because it made him anxious. In games, avoiding the scoreboard never helps. You need to see where you stand to know what move to make next. Slowly, Marcus changed his habits. He started by paying attention without judgment. When he spent money, he asked himself why. Was it to solve a real problem or to escape a feeling? When he earned money, he asked where it came from and how much effort it required. He realized that not all money was equal. Some income drained him. Some energized him. In a game, you learn which moves cost too much energy and which ones move you forward with less effort. As his awareness grew, so did his curiosity. He read stories of people who had transformed their financial lives not by working endlessly, but by thinking differently. They looked for leverage instead of labor. They built systems instead of chasing quick wins. Marcus understood that games reward players who think ahead. He stopped focusing only on immediate results and began to think about momentum. There were moments of doubt. Old habits do not disappear quietly. Sometimes Marcus felt guilty for resting instead of hustling. He worried that if he slowed down, he would fall behind. But he reminded himself that in many games, rushing leads to mistakes. Patience can be a powerful strategy. He learned to pause, to plan, and to choose his moves carefully. One evening, Marcus watched a group of kids playing basketball in a park near his apartment. None of them were professionals. They missed shots, tripped over their own feet, and argued about fouls. But they kept playing. They laughed, adjusted, and tried again. No one quit because they missed a shot. No one said they were bad at basketball forever. They understood something adults often forget. Games are meant to be played, learned, and enjoyed. Marcus realized that many people quit the money game early, not because they cannot win, but because they take every loss personally. A failed investment feels like a judgment on their intelligence. A bad month feels like proof that they are not meant to succeed. But in games, losses are feedback, not identity. You learn, adapt, and keep playing. As months passed, Marcus noticed subtle changes. His stress levels dropped. He felt more in control, even when challenges appeared. He started a small side project, not with desperation, but with curiosity. He treated it like an experiment. Some ideas worked better than others. Instead of feeling discouraged, he felt informed. Each outcome taught him something valuable. Friends began to notice the change in him. They asked how he seemed calmer, more confident. Marcus did not preach or boast. He simply shared his perspective. He told them that money stops being terrifying when you stop seeing it as a measure of your worth. When you separate who you are from how much you have, you can play the game more clearly. One friend, Lisa, struggled deeply with money anxiety. She worked hard but always felt behind. Marcus listened as she spoke about her fears, her frustration, her sense of failure. He recognized those feelings well. Instead of giving advice, he asked her how she thought money worked. Her answer was full of stress and self-blame. Marcus gently suggested that maybe she had been playing without knowing the rules. That idea sparked something in her. You could see it in her eyes. Hope, quiet but real. Over time, Marcus refined his approach. He focused on skills that could grow over time, skills that made him more valuable in the marketplace. He invested his attention carefully, knowing that where attention goes, results follow. He stopped chasing every opportunity and chose a few that aligned with his strengths. In games, mastery beats randomness. There were still setbacks. A project failed unexpectedly. An expense appeared at the worst possible moment. But Marcus no longer saw these moments as disasters. They were part of the game. Even the best players face obstacles. What matters is how you respond. Panic leads to poor moves. Calm leads to creative solutions. One night, as Marcus walked home under the glow of streetlights, he thought about how different his life felt compared to a few years earlier. He did not feel rich, but he felt capable. That feeling was priceless. He trusted himself to learn, adjust, and continue. He understood that winning the money game did not mean endless accumulation. It meant freedom of choice. It meant peace of mind. It meant playing on your own terms. Marcus began to see money as a language. Once you learn it, the world opens up in new ways. You understand signals you once ignored. You make decisions with intention rather than fear. You stop comparing your progress to others and focus on your own path. Every player starts at a different place. What matters is that you keep learning. Years later, Marcus returned to the same coffee shop where the idea first came to him. The windows were still fogged in the morning. People still rushed by outside. He smiled as he sipped his coffee, grateful for the simple moment. He knew the game would never truly end. There would always be new levels, new challenges, new lessons. But he was no longer intimidated by that. He was curious. He was engaged. He was playing to win, not by luck, but by understanding. If there is one truth Marcus learned, it is this: money does not belong to the strongest or the most exhausted. It responds to those who pay attention, stay curious, and keep learning. When you stop fearing the game and start studying it, everything changes. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to feel confident where you once felt lost, and maybe that is the real win. Not just having more money, but becoming the kind of person who knows how to navigate life with clarity and calm. Someone who understands that success is not about perfection, but about progress. Someone who keeps playing, even after a loss, because they know the next move could change everything. I share stories like this every day. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.